Good evening, and welcome to Golden Valley's annual meeting. My name is John Burns. I have the privilege of serving as GVEA's CEO. Tonight, we are excited to share with you the vision for powering the future of the interior and how GVEA intends to achieve this vision by focusing on delivering reliable electricity while being a responsible, member-owned cooperative, making sustainable decisions for the future. As you will hear this evening, we face significant decisions regarding GVEA's electric generation. While these decisions are challenging, we are excited because GVEA is also faced with significant opportunities. Regardless of what lies ahead, one thing remains certain. GVEA will always be guided by our mission to provide safe, reliable electricity to our members at fair and reasonable prices. As a member-owned, not-for-profit cooperative, GVEA is responsible for serving the best interests of all of our entire membership, all 35,268 members, residential and businesses. The decisions that GVEA and our board make, both short-term and long-term, must be made for the best interest of the collective whole. The decisions also must be grounded in reality, economic, environmental, technological, and socioeconomic realities. At this time, I invite you to join me and GVEA's Board of Directors as we share with you our vision for powering the future of the interior. Now, before we formally start tonight's annual meeting, I'd like to emphasize that GVEA is a member-owned cooperative. We are your cooperative. And for that reason, we would like to hear from you. As a member owner, your voice matters. If you have a comment, please email your comment to info@gva.com. And at the end of tonight's presentation, member comments will be read aloud for the full membership for up to 30 minutes. All member comments that are received will be summarized and included as part of the meeting minutes. Additionally, specific questions we receive tonight will receive individual email responses. Now, here are the guidelines. Please send your comments to info@gva.com. Include your first and your last name and the physical address where you receive electricity so we can verify your membership. We will be accepting comments until 7:30, at which time the window for comments will close. Please keep your comments brief so everyone has a chance to be heard. Now, also during tonight's meeting, we will be giving away 8 door prizes. These door prizes are for electric credits that will be awarded to 8 lucky members. There are 4 $500 credits and 4 $250 credits. And finally, one last administrative item. We would like your feedback on tonight's annual meeting. So at the end of tonight's meeting, please follow the web link that will appear on your screen for a short survey. All members who complete the survey will be entered into a drawing for 5,000 Alaska Airlines miles. Now, to officially start the annual meeting, I'd like to introduce Board Chair Tom DeLong from District 2. Tom?
Thank you, John, and good evening, everyone. I now call GVEA's 2022 annual meeting to order. As we begin, I would like to introduce the other 6 board members. Dave Messier, District 1, our treasurer. Rick Soley, District 3. Gary Newman, District 4, our board secretary. Chris Bunch, District 5. John Sloan, District 6, our vice chair. And Todd Adams, District 7. I'd like to recognize the GVEA Member Advisory Committee, the MAC. These members are from GVEA's 7 districts. They meet monthly, act as ambassadors to GVEA, and provide valuable feedback. We thank them for their service. We encourage anyone who's interested in serving on the Member Advisory Committee to visit gva.com and apply. Also with us tonight is Golden Valley's Administrative Assistant Susan Redlin, and from our Public Relations section, Ashley Bradish and Grace Wilson. Tonight, Ashley and Grace will read the member comments that we receive. Before we move on, I'd like to recognize a longtime member of our board who's retiring this year. John Sloan has served District 6 for 15 years, including 3 years as vice chair of the board and 10 years as secretary. John, we wish you well as you pursue future endeavors that surely include extensive travel. Thank you for your many years of dedicated service to GVEA. Now I'd like to introduce Board Member Gary Newman from District 4 to give us the proof of the meeting notice and report on the quorum. Gary?
Thank you, Chairman DeLong. Good evening to all our member owners. At this time, I'd like to report the notice of meeting and proof of mailing and publication as relates to the 2022 annual meeting. On April 1st of 2022, copies of the Ruralite magazine were mailed to all GVEA members of record. The Ruralite contained the notice of annual meeting, informing members of the date, time, and place of the 2022 annual meeting. In addition, notices were inserted in member bills, published in the Fairbanks Daily News Miner, aired on radio, and posted on social media. Therefore, GVEA has complied with the noticing requirements. Safety continues to be GVEA's first priority. Due to safety concerns and the ongoing uncertainty related to COVID, when GVEA began planning this meeting, the decision was made to hold this year's meeting virtually. Last year's annual meeting survey also revealed that members appreciated some of the convenience of virtual meetings. While we have a number of virtual attendees, our bylaws require in-person voting by members at the annual meeting. Therefore, since we're not able to meet in person, we cannot approve the minutes from the 2021 meeting. GVEA's Bylaw Review Committee will be working on a proposed change to the bylaws that will permit electronic voting in the future. Since we're not able to vote to approve the minutes, we will move to the informational presentations, member comments, and prizes. However, before we do, it's important to talk about safety. GVEA starts every meeting with a safety moment. Safety is one of GVEA's core principles and is a fundamental part of our operations and overall success. These safety moments serve as a reminder to our employees and members to be safe, both in their work and personal lives. Tonight, we've asked GVEA Safety Manager Norm Alden to deliver our safety message. Come on up, Norm.
Thank you, Gary. At GVEA, we work hard to ensure every employee returns home to their loved ones each day. But it does not end there. GVEA also has an obligation to provide safe and reliable electricity to you, our valued members. Tonight, I would like to focus your attention on the importance of keeping yourself and others out of harm's way when electrical lines come in contact with another object or have been damaged and fallen, as we call it at Golden Valley, torn down. We often take electricity for granted. That is, of course, until the power goes out. But what many do not realize is the magnitude of electrical energy flowing through the miles upon miles of electrical lines hanging above our roadways, neighborhoods, businesses, and homes. Every day, energy ranging from 138,000 volts to 7,200 volts flows in the power lines above our heads as it powers interior Alaska. For comparison, a common residential electric service is 120 to 240 volts. Whenever an object contacts an electrical line, that object often becomes energized. Touching the object or the line itself with any body part or any device connected to your body is likely to result in electrocution. Trees that have fallen onto power lines, equipment such as dump trucks and excavators that have contacted or torn down lines, and vehicle accidents are common situations that place people at risk of electrical shock and electrocution. Remember, electricity is constantly searching for the easiest path to the ground and is very unpredictable. A GVEA line crew recently responded to a report of a tree in the power line. Upon arrival, the crew observed a large birch tree that had broken at the base and was laying on an energized line. The crew noticed fresh child-sized footprints in the snow on the tree. The children that had attempted to climb this tree and their families are extremely fortunate that no injury had occurred. Please, if you come across a downed power line or see a tree or other object touching any power line, do not touch it. Keep yourself and others back at least 50 feet and call 911 and GVEA's 24/7 dispatch center to make a report. Thank you, and now back to Gary.
Thanks, Norm. At GVEA, safety really is our #1 priority. In addition to our physical safety, we also work hard to ensure the safety and security of our electronic systems through cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is an important responsibility of GVEA. Members and GVEA alike can take measures to ensure our information remains secure. For members, all of you have likely received communications from scammers trying to obtain your personal information by pretending to be local companies like GVEA. Members are reminded to be cautious when receiving odd or unexpected communication. When in doubt, it's always best to contact the company directly to confirm the information received, and if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. GVEA also does its part to keep sensitive information safe by keeping our employees hyper-aware of potential threats. Our information systems team works hard behind the scenes to keep our network and your data secure. Cybersecurity is also a responsibility of the Railbelt Reliability Council, where GVEA serves as a member and works closely with other utilities to help protect all of our systems. Now, I'm pleased to introduce Todd Adams, GVEA's director from District 7, to talk about this year's upcoming director elections. Have at it, Tom.
All right, thank you, Gary. This year's District 5 and 6 were both up for election. Following the process outlined in GVEA's bylaws, nominating committees were formed with volunteers from Districts 5 and 6. The nominating committee started meeting in December, were tasked with identifying at least 2 candidates, and completed their selection in January. Candidates can be nominated either by committee or by petition. Todd, in District 5, 3 candidates were forwarded by the nominating committee. In February, one of the candidates withdrew, and in April, a second candidate withdrew from the election. The withdrawal of the second candidate took place after the nominating committee deadline had passed and after the deadline for candidates to apply via the petition process had closed. GVEA policy provides that for the financial best interest of GVEA and its membership, if the deadlines have passed for nominations by committee and petition, and there is only one qualified candidate seeking election, no election will be held, provided that the board appoints that candidate pursuant to GVEA's bylaws. Consistent with policy and in an effort to avoid wasting member money on an election where only one candidate would appear on the ballot, the board has reappointed Chris Bunch as District 5 Director. Chris' appointment will be effective June 28th through 2022, the date the election results for District 5 would have been certified had Chris Bunch appeared on the ballot. For GVEA members who live in District 6, you will be electing a director this year. In this district, 2 candidates were forwarded by the nominating committee, and 1 candidate submitted an application to be nominated by petition. As a result, there are 3 candidates on the ballot from District 6. The April Rule Light introduced you to this year's slate of candidates. You can visit GVEA's website to learn more about each candidate and the election process. We also ask the candidates to record a 1-minute message to be played from the membership this evening. Candidates from District 6 are Peter Hallgren, Eileen Williams, and Fred Sheen. Let's hear from each of the candidates.
I'm Pete Hallgren. I've lived in Alaska since '71 and have served in Delta since '99 as administrator, councilman, and mayor. I have 43 years with Alaska governing boards, including the State Personnel Board and the PERS Board. As city attorney, assemblyman, and mayor in Sitka, I was involved in every aspect of the municipally owned electric utility, including a $50 million hydro project. I understand the complexity of operating an electric utility and the need for forward-thinking directors. GVEA generates much of its own power, 90% is fossil fuels. We should continue in solar and wind and keep an eye on technological advances as we manage current facilities. Affordability is always a factor, as our residential rates now exceed 25.6 cents a kilowatt hour. Our co-op was created to distribute reliable, affordable power to the interior. Our families and businesses depend upon our success. I'm Pete Hallgren. I'd appreciate your vote.
I am interested in running for this seat because I genuinely care about the future of our community. I am open-minded and desire to understand the needs of our district and our state. I want to be a voice for all members. I believe it is important for any organization to have a sound fiscal plan so that decisions about utilizing financial resources can be made appropriately. Equally, I believe it's important to have goals and a plan for achieving them. If elected, I will apply my professional knowledge and experience and am willing to serve the board in whatever capacity is required. I will strive to understand the needs of the board and that of our members so that I may contribute to strengthening relationships with stakeholders and further develop lasting partnerships.
Hello, I'm Fred Sheen, and I've had the privilege to work and live in our beautiful state for approximately half the 30-plus year career as a lineman and Delta Division supervisor for GVEA. I've since retired, and the natural progression is representing the District 6 members on the GVEA Board of Directors. I've had the opportunity to work with several nonprofit organizations, including the Delta and State Chamber of Commerce. For me, community service is an important way of giving back to the community that I so love and appreciate. I started my career in 1993 during one of the worst ice storms interior Alaska had ever seen. At that time, Mike Healey was president and CEO. The warehouse was no bigger than a two-car garage. Times have changed, and our nation and its needs for energy independence is greater than ever. I would like to do away with the fuel surcharge by partnering with native corporations and other Alaska businesses. I would be a good replacement for John Sloan and look forward to serving the needs of the District 6 community.
Thanks to all of our candidates for their willingness to serve. If you live in District 6, you will receive an election packet in the mail. The packet will contain information on the voting process, a paper ballot, and instructions for online voting for those who prefer to vote electronically. You may vote by mail or online, but not both. Paper ballots will be mailed on May the 13th and must be received by GVEA by June 7th at 5 p.m. Online voting opens May 13th at noon and closes June 7th at 5 p.m. The election results will be announced the evening of June 9th. We will now welcome back CEO John Burns.
Thank you, Todd. Last year, GVEA was proud to celebrate 75 years as a member-owned cooperative, and we honored the early residents who dreamed of bringing reliable electricity to the interior. These early pioneers recognized that electricity was key to the quality of life, to creating jobs, fueling growth, and powering lives and economies. At Golden Valley, we continue to build on that early dream, and for 76 years now, GVEA has been steadfast in our mission to deliver safe, reliable electricity to our members at fair and reasonable prices. GVEA was formed by the communities we serve and was founded on the 7 cooperative principles. These principles highlight the benefits and importance of being an electric cooperative, and they continue to guide us today. To ensure that we achieve our mission, GVEA focuses on 3 core principles that are non-negotiable. The first is safety, the safety of our employees and our members. We work to ensure that GVEA has a strong safety culture and that we educate our employees and our members on safe work practices, both on and off the job. The second is mission focus, ensuring that every decision that GVEA makes is made in furtherance of our mission and is consistent with the 7 cooperative principles. And the third is fiscal responsibility. We understand that it is not our money, it's our members' money, it's your money. For that reason, we are focused on ensuring that we use that money prudently, efficiently, and effectively in furthering our mission. These 3 core principles, coupled with having an outstanding employee workforce, are essential for reliability. Reliability means that you can count on GVEA to keep the lights on and power flowing today and in the future. One of the ways we ensure reliability is through sound fiscal management, making financial decisions that keep GVEA financially healthy. Dave Messier, Director from District 1, will tell you more about GVEA's finances. Dave?
Thanks, John, and good evening. My name is Dave Messier. In addition to serving as the board representative from District 1, I also serve as the board treasurer. It's my pleasure to provide you with an update on GVEA's finances. Please note that GVEA's complete financial report is posted at gvea.com. I'd encourage you to review it. GVEA's financial position remains strong. In 2021, GVEA's total operating margins were just under $12.5 million, and non-operating margins were just under $5.2 million, bringing our total margins to just over $17.7 million for the year. Despite the economic fallout from COVID, GVEA achieved an equity ratio of 34.15%, well within our target range of 25 to 35%. Equity is used to help meet our operating expenses, which include the costs of new equipment to serve members and repaying debt. It's also one of the key indicators of our financial health. The Board of Directors has a fiscal responsibility to maintain the financial integrity of the cooperative in a way that provides financial stability, reasonable rates, and allows for the return of capital credits to our members. GVEA's management and board know that our electric rates are high, and we're committed to constraining cost. Believe me, as member owners ourselves, the board is not happy with high electric rates either. That said, if you study your bill, you will see there are 4 parts: the monthly customer charge, the utility charge, the regulatory cost charge, and the fuel and purchase power charge. I'm proud to say that the utility charge and customer charge have not increased at all in the past 2.5 years. And I applaud our employees at Golden Valley for keeping the costs we can control in check. What has changed and what GVEA has less control over is the fuel and purchase power rate, which reflects the actual costs incurred by GVEA to generate and purchase power. There's absolutely no markup on this charge. The fuel and purchase power rate is filed quarterly in compliance with GVEA's tariffs and is subject to review and approval by the Regulatory Commission of Alaska. It's comprised of 2 components. First, it includes an estimate of what GVEA anticipates it will cost over the next 3 months to generate and purchase the energy necessary to meet the electrical needs of members. The second is a true-up of any over-collected or under-collected amounts incurred by GVEA in the prior quarter. While the fuel and purchase power rate is not something GVEA can fully control, we are doing what we can to plan out future generation that will reduce the volatility of our fuel and purchase power costs. As a member-owned, not-for-profit cooperative, we recognize that electricity costs greatly affect our members and communities. One of the many advantages of GVEA being a cooperative is that we return capital credits to our members. As you might imagine, it takes significant capital investment in power plants and facilities to provide you with safe, reliable power. In part, those funds come from capital credits assigned to members and loaned to GVEA. Golden Valley repays those loans in the form of capital credits, either by check or as a credit on your bill. Capital credits can be confusing for some members. I know they were for me. But put simply, a for-profit utility earns a return for shareholders when they collect revenue. But when a cooperative like Golden Valley collects revenues in excess of expenses, we return that revenue to members in the form of capital credits. In 2021, GVEA's board authorized and paid $4.1 million in capital credits to members of record from 1996 and earlier. Over the years, Golden Valley has refunded more than $101 million in capital credits, a practice we're immensely proud of and that we look forward to continuing. So that's a look at the decisions GVEA makes to ensure financial reliability. Now we turn to John Sloan, Director from District 6, to talk about GVEA's operational reliability. John?
Thanks, Dave. Every year, GVEA reports on the reliability. During 2021, GVEA kept your lights on more than 99.9% of the time. One of the ways we achieve that high mark is through redundancy, keeping a wide variety of generation resources in our fleet. At any given time, we draw power from any one of a dozen generation sources. GVEA owns and operates 4 oil-fired plants for a combined capacity of 248 megawatts. GVEA also owns 2 coal-fired plants in Healey with a combined generation capacity of 88 megawatts. In addition, GVEA owns 16.9% of the Bradley Lake hydroelectric project in south central Alaska, which can provide up to 20 megawatts. The Eva Creek wind project near Healey can provide up to 25 megawatts. And finally, the solar array in South Fairbanks can generate up to 1/2 a megawatt. GVEA can also purchase power from 3 sources. Up to 75 megawatts of natural gas generated from Anchorage area delivered up the Alaska Intertie. Up to 25 megawatts from Aurora Energy Power Plant on the Chena River right here in Fairbanks. And up to 2 megawatts from Alaska Environmental Power in Delta Junction. Having a diverse fuel mix is important. We sit at the end of a very long extension cord. If the Intertie fails, we must have multiple sources of local generation to keep the power going. Remember, it's all about reliability. Fuel diversity also allows us to use the least expensive power available. A computer checks our fuel mix every 4 seconds, making sure we use the cheapest source of power. If lower cost energy is available, we switch. That means lower electric bills. Our outage management system is improving reliability. In the past, we had no way of knowing the specific location of an outage. Line crews would spend a lot of time patrolling just to find the right neighborhood. Major outages often resulted in congested phone lines and long waits for power to be restored. Today, GVEA dispatchers can look at an electronic map and tell instantly which members are without power. This process not only saves time and money, but it also results in shorter outages. Now, members do not need to call in an outage. Our dispatchers know when your power is out, sometimes before you do. The success of the outage management system was evident during the December storm. It enabled crews to identify outages and restore power to almost 20,000 members in a matter of days, instead of the weeks that it took before the outage management system was in place. Another operational decision that affects reliability is the right-of-way clearing. GVEA maintains more than 3,000 miles of power lines. That's about the width of the lower 48. Right-of-way clearing is done seasonally for 3 reasons. A clear right-of-way enables our line crews to quickly access power lines, identify outage causes, and make repairs. Maintaining cleared rights-of-way has helped shorten the length of outages. And 2, to prevent hazard trees from falling into the lines. Trees falling into the lines are one of the leading causes of power outages in the interior. As clearing progresses through our power grid, hazard trees are identified and removed. And 3, to prevent trees from growing up into the lines. Trees growing into the power lines can become energized and hazard to people, pets, and equipment. Also, electricity going into the ground costs us all money, similar to leaving the water running while nobody is using it. In recent years, GVEA has been able to reduce our clearing rotation from around 10 years cycle to a 7-year cycle, and we're working to reduce that even further. More frequent clearing means fewer outages and increased reliability for our members. In addition to always working to improve our current practices, we are striving to integrate innovative new technology and methods. GVEA is currently in the process of implementing a new utility-specific software system to improve member experiences with GVEA. This will impact GVEA's customer information system, our financial system, as well as a number of member-facing applications and platforms. It will allow GVEA to improve upon legacy practices tied to our system so we can grow and change along with the quickly evolving utility industry. As technologies and energy programs continue to advance, the member portion of this new software are currently on track to be completed by December 2022. In addition to improving reliability, this change is also expected to increase efficiency in employee training, site management and support, and reporting needs, all of which will ultimately save members money. Now you have seen how GVEA focuses on reliability through sound fiscal and operational decisions. I'm going to turn this mic over to Rick Soley to share with you how GVEA is focused on responsibility, especially as it relates to our communities. Rick?
Thank you, John. Good evening. My name is Rick Soley. I'm your board representative from District 3. As you've heard earlier tonight, Golden Valley was founded on the 7 cooperative principles, one of which is concern for community. As a responsible not-for-profit cooperative, GVEA develops policies and programs that are supported by members that foster development and opportunity for interior communities. We see this concern for the community as a responsibility to our members. We live this responsibility by supporting youth through scholarship programs, by supporting nonprofits, through the Good Sense program, and through our employees' volunteer efforts. Let's first talk about Golden Valley Scholarship Program. Every year, Golden Valley awards scholarships to 8 worthy students with ties to the local communities. The funds for these scholarships come from unclaimed capital credits and have no impact on your electric bill. Winners are chosen by a committee in a blind selection process. Here are our 2022 winners. Drum roll, please. Career and Technical Education Scholarship for $3,500 awarded to Megan Waite, University of Alaska Fairbanks, from District 2. 3 Continuing Education Scholarships for $3,000 awarded to Jason Chassé, University of Alaska Fairbanks, from District 3. Dulce Villaseñor, University of Alaska Fairbanks, from District 2. And Elizabeth Wisenhant, University of New Orleans, from District 2. 3 academic scholarships for $3,500 are awarded to Katrina Bast, Monroe, from District 4. Isaac Dershin, Lathrop, from District 4. And Camille Lessig, Lathrop, from District 1. And finally, our academic degree scholarship for $16,000 is awarded to Gwendolyn Bunch, West Valley High School, from District 2. Congratulations to these exceptional local students. You make us proud. Another way Golden Valley supports local communities is through the Good Sense program. Good Sense is a voluntary roundup program funded through the generosity of GVEA members. 12 years ago, GVEA members approved a roundup program to support interior nonprofits. Good Sense is a straightforward way for members to give back to their community by contributing just a few cents a month on your electric bill. Together, we can make a significant impact. The average member who participates in the Good Sense program will give $6 per year. That's only 50 cents per month. This small amount, when aggregated with all the members who give, makes a big difference. So far, $1.3 million in Good Sense grants have been given to interior nonprofit over the past 11 years. Right now, 65% of the members participate. Imagine what we could accomplish if 90% of the members participated voluntarily. If you previously opted out of Good Sense and now want to enroll, you can email to ms@gvea.com. I want to thank our generous members who give back through the Good Sense program. You supported this program, you fund this program, and because of this, all of our local nonprofits benefit. I also want to thank the Good Sense Board of Trustees. This volunteer 6-member Board of Trustees oversees the Good Sense program. They meet quarterly to review applications and award grants. Concern for the community isn't just a company motto. It's also a way of life for Golden Valley employees who feel responsible for helping to ensure the success of their communities. For the past 3 years, GVEA has been a top workplace supporter for United Way of the Tanana Valley. Our employees contribute to the United Way through personal donations and other fundraising efforts. The board also matches funds raised by employees. Over the last 3 years, GVEA has donated over $226,000 to the United Way, and these funds directly impact local communities. Golden Valley employees each have 8 hours per year that they can use to volunteer with nonprofit agencies and community causes. Our employees use these hours to clean up trash on local streets, serve food at the Stone Soup Cafe, to shelve books at the Literacy Council, or to assist a number of other local nonprofits. After hearing about the need for Meals on Wheels, GVEA employees volunteered to take a route. Each Thursday, 2 employees spend a few hours delivering food to Fairbanks seniors. Let's learn more about this incredible program.
Some of the folks that we deliver to only get 1 meal a day. That's all they have. Meals on Wheels is a nonprofit program that's nationwide, really. Now we're doing a lunch every day from Monday through Friday. And that's about 250 meals per day.
So today we came to the senior center to pick up meals that were already prepared for us to deliver within the community. Their hot meals are in a bag that you plug into your car so they stay warm. When we arrive at the delivery addresses, we put them together.
So at Golden Valley, every employee has the opportunity to volunteer 8 hours of community service. Our philosophy is members serving members, and this is part of that.
You know, we have a lot of people in town, both elders, seniors, disabled folks. They're on a fixed income and they may only have a few $100s a month coming in, you know, so there is definite need, and we are hoping to help fulfill that need.
You know, everybody within the community uses electricity, and that's one of the things that drew me to Golden Valley's its commitment to serve its members, to give back. To me, that's very important, to be able to be aware of the needs within my community, and it's great to work for an employer that recognizes that.
If Fairbanks is truly the Golden Heart City, folks around town have a heart of gold. Anytime someone has a dire problem, they rise to the occasion. I just love this community, and I think it's always going to be that way.
These are some of the ways GVEA is demonstrating responsibility and commitment to your community. We are proud to support the United Way and their partnered agencies, and it's all thanks to the generosity of our members and employees. Now I'd like to turn it back over to Tom DeLong, GVEA Board Chair. Tom?
Thanks, Rick. I want to detail another way that GVEA is responsible, and that is through the integration of renewables. GVEA has a long history as a leader in renewables. No other utility in the rail belt dispatches a higher percentage of variable renewable resources than GVEA. In January of 2019, GVEA's Board of Directors adopted their carbon reduction goal. Golden Valley is committed to reducing our total carbon output by 26% by the year 2030, as compared to our 2012 emission levels. We are striving to meet this goal without adverse long-term effects on rates or reliability. Golden Valley has met every renewable goal that GVEA's board has set in the past, and we are committed to meeting the current carbon reduction goal. Last year, we issued a request for information, seeking ideas for renewable energy projects from independent power producers. GVEA received 8 proposals that included hydro, wind, and solar, either separately or in combination, and a few of which were paired with battery storage options. This process provided us with the opportunity to compare and determine how potential renewable options might complement GVEA's electric system and provided some valuable insight on how best to achieve our goal. Here are a few of GVEA's technical experts to explain more on GVEA's renewable sources and how we continue working towards renewable efforts.
This is a monumental transformation that not only us, but people all over the world are going through. We have our own unique challenges, but now we have an opportunity to reach the future that we see we need to get to.
So diving into renewable energy and energy storage is not something new for Golden Valley. We've been operating a battery energy storage system since 2003. In 2012, we installed a 25 megawatt Eva Creek wind farm. And then in 2018, we brought a half a megawatt solar farm online here in Fairbanks.
We've done great work in the past. We've set ourselves a vision for a new future. And this is a challenging project that we're working on. And as one of the first steps, we did issue an RFI, a request for information.
You know, the renewable RFI really was coming out as a piece of a broader discussion across the rail belt on multiple fronts. You know, even though we didn't decide to pursue one of those projects at this time, it has really spurred discussion in our overall generation planning. So as we consider what projects can help, move the needle in that regard, we don't want to shortchange ourselves and pursue maybe a smaller project that would work within Golden Valley service territory when we can actually do potentially, a larger project that needs to be rail belt sized.
We need to work with all of our interconnected communities to make this happen. We're setting the stage for my children coming back and contributing parts and having success in this community. So yeah, it's really rewarding being part of this and seeing the vision of the future.
In addition to our renewable energy resources, GVEA is also a share owner of the Bradley Lake Hydro Project, which helps reduce our carbon output. I'm pleased to say that this year, GVEA is increasing our hydro capacity by purchasing a share in the Battle Creek Diversion Project, which will increase GVEA's hydro energy by about 10% starting next month. Be assured that we continue to look for alternatives that substantially advance GVEA's carbon reduction goal while providing a cost benefit to GVEA's members. We are committed to finding ways to expand the inclusion of renewables into our generation mix, and will continue to pursue efforts to do so. Carbon reduction is our collective responsibility, and action is required. John Burns will now talk about how we will power the future through sustainable decisions that are in the best interest of all members collectively. John?
Thanks, Tom. The continued economic viability of interior communities and GVEA's ability to meet our mission requires that any action that GVEA takes must be thoughtful, deliberative, balanced, and ultimately focused on the best interest of all GVEA members. The decisions that we face, particularly as relates to generation, will sustain our communities into the future. These decisions are complex and they are very interconnected. And as a result, all options must be carefully evaluated and considered, and so also must the potential implications. One such decision relates to our Healey Unit 1 coal-fired generation plant. GVEA must decide whether to install additional emission controls or retire the plant by December 31, 2024. Related and very much interconnected to the Healey 1 decision are a number of other decisions and considerations. For example, how will Golden Valley be able to best handle the debt obligation associated with our various other generation units, which, regardless of whether these units are retired or continue to run, will need to be repaid? How to best integrate rapidly evolving renewable and battery storage technologies in an optimal and cost-effective manners. The impacts of a dynamic political environment at the state, federal, and now the global levels, and an ever-evolving regulatory environment, including implementation of an electric reliability organization to oversee railbelt-wide planning. Healey 1, built in the 1960s, still produces 26 megawatts of reliable, inexpensive power. Golden Valley, however, is faced with a decision regarding this plant. A consent decree with the Environmental Protection Agency requires that GVEA either retire Healey 1 by the end of 2024 or add additional environmental controls. Healey 2, originally built by the state of Alaska in the 1990s as a clean coal demonstration plant, has proven challenging, and its historical average generation since commissioning in 2018 continues to be well below capacity. As we look to the future, we must balance many variables, including safety, reliability, cost, and environmental impact. At the same time, innovative technology continues to advance. For example, the cost of renewable technologies, such as wind, solar, and batteries, continues to decline each year. They too, however, are not without challenges. To be able to effectively incorporate renewables into Golden Valley's system, we must have backup power available that can kick on as soon as the sun stops shining or wind stops blowing. As GVEA seeks to transition towards more renewables, there are many questions that must be answered, including how much renewable energy can we efficiently integrate and over what period of time, particularly considering the huge swings in our seasonal loads. And how can we optimize and regulate renewables to ensure that reliability is not compromised, and at what cost? In 2020, GVEA's board established a strategic directive to look specifically at Golden Valley's generation. This directive was prompted in part by the pending Healey 1 decision, and also by the reality that our generation fleet is aging. What GVEA's generation strategy for the future might realistically entail is a very challenging and complex question. For the past 18 months, GVEA's employees, consultants, and board of directors have examined over 100 scenarios and a multitude of different variables, assumptions, and risks, all while always focusing on our continued ability to meet our mission. John Kelly, one of the leaders of GVEA's Strategic Generation Directive, discusses these challenges further.
This is a complex process. You know, the decisions we make today are very, very complex and will impact the interior of Alaska well into the future. We need to make the right choice. My name is John Kelly. I'm the gas turbine plant manager at Golden Valley Electric. I've been working for the company for almost 16 years. I've been doing this for quite some time, and I'm proud that John Burns and the board have trusted me to lead the group for the strategic directive. The strategic directive is a life cycle analysis of our existing fleet, our existing resources. Where are we today? What's the condition of our gas turbines? What's the condition of our coal plants? What's the condition of our independent power producers' assets? There's three specific criteria that we refer to as the three-legged stool. Reliability. North of the Alaska Range, reliability is paramount. The electricity must stay on during the winter months. Cost. We have some of the most expensive power in the country. How do we better that? How do we bring the cost of electricity down to our members? How do we diversify our generation portfolio to actually move the needle on cost? And then environmental impact. How do we reduce our overall emissions while maintaining reliable and cost effectiveness? The decisions our group, Golden Valley, makes today will impact Golden Valley and the members in the future. That's a big deal, and I feel a deep responsibility to bring the best objective data to the table as we can, to turn over every stone, to look at every possible option. I'm super excited about the future. I think we can make a big dent. This is our opportunity. again, not just for Golden Valley. How do we better it for everybody? How do we work together? How do we collaborate? How do we use our available federal and state dollars to maximize the potential for everybody? It can be done. We have to make the right decisions. It's a must. So, we're prepared to do that.
The right decision is a decision that is in the best interest of Golden Valley's membership as a whole. And while these are not easy decisions, with each decision comes opportunities. The decision process regarding Healey 1 is complex and ongoing, but I emphasize that no decision has yet been made regarding Healey 1, and that when GVEA's Board of Directors does make a decision on Healey Unit 1, it will be made during a properly noticed public board meeting. In the meantime, GVEA will be holding 2 member meetings to discuss the future of Healey Unit 1. The purpose of these meetings is to share information with our members, you, about the Healey 1 decisional process, the scope and complexity of the process, the modeling that has been done to date and that continues to be done, and the various assumptions and risk factors that need to be considered. For more information about these meetings, please visit gva.com. Now, before I proceed further, I'd like to remind you that if you'd like to make a comment tonight, please send your comment to info@gva.com. Please be sure to include your first and last name and your physical address where you receive electricity. Your comment will need to be received in the next few minutes if you'd like it read aloud tonight. Now, in 2020, the legislature passed and the governor signed Senate Bill 123, authorizing the formation of an electric reliability organization. Following the passage of Senate Bill 123, the Railbelt Reliability Council was formed. By working together, utilities, independent power producers, and other stakeholders will develop an integrated resource plan for the entire rail belt and will help coordinate future decisions regarding electric generation along the rail belt. Take a look as GVEA's employees discuss these collaborative efforts.
You may not realize it, but 75% of Alaska's citizens are tapping into the same power grid, this interconnected transmission system called the rail belt.
So the rail belt consists of several generators. It consists of distribution lines, which are the lines that you see throughout your community. And then the lines that you see going up and down, say, the Parks Highway, are our transmission system lines, and they're the high voltage lines. So the high voltage transmission, the distribution lines, all connect all of the generators in Golden Valley and down south. So the interconnected rail belt system is basically a series of wires connecting a series of generators and a series of customers.
The rail belt consists of 5 major electric utilities, and all of these utilities have recently come together and are now working with one another through an organization called the Rail Belt Reliability Council. We're looking at this from a collaborative approach now and not just a utility-specific one, and I think it's made us all stronger and it's making us more unified and speaking with one voice.
So when the utilities work together well, we optimize the resources together and everybody saves.
At the state and federal level, there are numerous opportunities for funding and collaboration. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act provides for grid modernization and resiliency. However, strategic partnerships are crucial to GVEA's future. One of the most essential is our close working relationship with the other 4 railbelt utilities. Together, we provide electricity to almost 75% of Alaska residents over a 700-mile span from Homer to Delta Junction. Working together to leverage innovation and technology, we can and we will find solutions to the unique challenge of providing safe, reliable, and clean electricity to the rail belt. The rail belt utilities are united in the quest to develop a more resilient system driven by low carbon energy that supports and sustains the economy. There are opportunities across the entire rail belt to increase and optimize transmission infrastructure, to install an integrated zero carbon generation, to deploy carbon capture and storage technology, and to expand efficient battery energy storage, and to implement beneficial electrification projects that can benefit all the rail belt residents and businesses. Tonight, we have shared with you Golden Valley's vision for powering the future of Interior. And we've shared our commitment to be a reliable, responsible cooperative and to make decisions that are sustainable for the future of the families, businesses, and the communities we serve. On behalf of GVEA's 280 employees, we are honored to serve you, and we thank you for your membership and support. Now, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Tom DeLong for some closing comments. Tom?
Thank you, John. Before we move on to member comments, we'd like to offer the final word to our outgoing board member, John Sloan. For 15 years, John has served District 6 and the entire GVEA membership. John is a leader on this board, holding the positions of vice chair and secretary during his tenure here. He's known for his diligent study of the board materials and as a thoughtful board member. John, we thank you for your faithful service. We're going to miss you.
Thanks, Tom. That's me in the middle looking like a goon in that picture. Thanks, Tom. My report on reliability, right-of-way, and outage management was fairly long, but I wanted to address the membership about my 15 years on the Golden Valley Board of Directors. Since Delta Junction and District 6 have been a part of Golden Valley, there have been only 3 elected directors and 1 appointed director. Some of you may remember a long time ago, Bill Seitz, then Dwight Nissen, Karen Sedso was appointed, and myself. I've got 2 more meetings, and District 6 will usher in the 4th elected director in its history. I want to encourage folks down in Delta and Salcha to read the bios and on each of the candidates, make your choice and cast your vote, either electronically or by paper ballot. It has been an honor to be a member of this board and part of Golden Valley. In my time here, we've teamed up with Mike Kraft in Delta to put on the first wind energy on our system and in the entire state at that time. Golden Valley built the largest wind farm in Alaska. We had, for a moment, the largest solar array in Alaska. We started up, good or bad, a new coal plant. We installed EV charging stations, built a new mechanic shop, and made vast improvements in our outage management system, our AMI meter reading system, among a host of other improvements. I feel in my time on this board I have met some amazing people, from governors and legislators, our own board members and board members from the other cooperatives around the state and the Northwest, but most importantly, the folks right here that work for Golden Valley. I feel as though I've gotten a college education in member engagement, interpersonal relationships, labor contracts, fuel contracts, electric generation, distribution, and transmission. I've learned the complexity of each phase and the tough decision to keep it all working reliably, efficiently, cleanly, and from negative 40 degrees to nearly 100 degrees. You throw in ice storms, snowstorms, gale winds, and climate change, which brings warmer and wetter winters, vegetation that is growing faster than at any other time, and you've described the complications GVEA deals with. I want to thank the folks in District 6 for their confidence in me through the last 15 years. We're in a hugely changing environment, and I want to wish Eileen, Pete, and Fred good luck in the election to the GVEA Board of Directors. And remember, folks, send in your ballot. And now, we'll move to member comments. Grace Wilson and Ashley Bradish will be reading the comments that have come in during the meeting. In the interest of time, We have allotted up to 30 minutes for comments, and then we will award those prizes. After the meeting, comments will be summarized and added to tonight's meeting minutes. In addition, GVEA staff will follow up individually with members who will ask specific questions. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our members who have taken the time to submit comments. We'll start with Mary Lee and Dale Guthrie. This is not the 1970s energy crisis. Putting millions into the capital assets of the very class being phased out around the world due to carbon intensity doesn't make sense. And it seems doubly defeatist, a very risky investment and one that steers us further from successfully figuring out ways to live comfortable, modern lives here in the interior that are not dependent on fossil fuels. More ambition, please.
This comment is from Philip White of District 2. I want to thank you for your leadership with installing EV charging stations throughout the interior and investigating community solar. I highly encourage the board to reduce electricity costs by making long-term investments in the cheapest and cleanest energy sources available, namely solar, wind, and pumped hydroelectric power. So long as GVEA continues to be heavily reliant on high-cost oil, coal, and fossil fuels, GVEA ratepayers will have to bear the burden of higher prices. Fossil energy sources are inherently inflationary, while renewable energy generation is deflationary and can save Fairbanksons millions of dollars over the coming decades. I also urge GVEA to implement on-bill financing, which would invest millions of dollars into our community and potentially offer GVEA ratepayers the largest single reduction to their electric bills in history. GVEA must take tangible actions now to ensure Fairbanks does not continue to be burdened with high-cost energy, noxious air pollution, and an uncompetitive electricity system. Member owners are impatient, and we can no longer afford delay.
Richard Gorsling, District 4. In my opinion, GVEA should look into nuclear power generation. Wind and solar are unreliable and costly. Because hydropower from Susitna Dam is unlikely to ever be available, the only clean future source that will generate enough reliable power is nuclear.
Aurora Bowers of District 2. I'm writing to urge you to shut down the Healey 1 power plant. This moment provides an opportunity to shift to renewable energy, lower energy costs, and to meet our carbon reduction goals. Investing further in Healey 1 will lock us into a fossil fuel economy and continue to cause environmental and health problems. True energy independence for the interior means not being reliant on non-renewable resources, especially those that harm our communities.
David Mather, District 1. Dear GVEA board members, my husband, David, and I are GVEA members who live in District 1. We are strongly opposed to refurbishing the Healey 1 coal plant. Continued use of coal would not result in the critical carbon reduction that we need for our community, state, country, and as part of the world. The cost is prohibitive, and more importantly, the consequences worsen our climate crisis. Alaskans are especially aware of the horrific climate changes here, and we must do everything we can to protect and slow the changes that result from increased carbon emissions. As a longtime member of Citizens for Clean Air, I understand the dangerous health effects of air pollution caused by coal burning. Our community has been extremely out of compliance with the Clean Air Act safety standards that are set by the EPA to protect health. We have the scientific knowledge about the causes of air pollution and must improve our air quality in all parts of the state, not just the designated non-attainment areas. Air pollution particulates travel without boundaries. We would like the board to continue to pursue further developments of renewable energy sources. Thank you for your work.
Dave Abel, District 5. I was wondering if there is a reason why there isn't a senior, disabled veteran, volunteer, fire employees, etc. discounts for bringing power to your property.
Diane Preston, District 2. GVEA needs to increase renewables by all means possible and doing so as quickly as possible. We need community solar, more wind generation, a new large battery bank, on-bill financing for energy upgrades, and a retirement of Healey 1. There is no longer time to waste, as the latest IPCC report has outlined. Now is the time to be serious about carbon reduction and the transition to more life-sustaining energy generation. Please move more quickly. Thank you.
Nicholas Parlato, District 1. Every day that I make use of electricity derived from coal, oil, or natural gas weighs on my conscience. For decades, rhetoric from government and industry has laid the responsibility for mitigating carbon emissions at the feet of consumers, who have been falsely led into the belief that simply purchasing quote-unquote green products and turning our lights off will quote-unquote help save the environment. This is a familiar and dangerous fiction that we must address collectively as a community, a state, and a nation. Reinvigorating our sense of common custodianship of the earth, the water, and the air is the only path to building a resilient future here in Alaska. The Healey 1 power plant, outmoded and polluting as it is, does not need to be resuscitated for a short and unremarkable 20 more years of operation. The time for innovation and forward thinking is now. Healey 1 should be formally decommissioned, and the money slated for its refurbishment should be reallocated toward energy projects that think in terms of centuries, not decades, and not fiscal years. Alaska has a unique opportunity to demonstrate leadership in renewable energy due to its boundless natural wealth of inventive, self-sufficient populace. I implore you as a young person and as an Alaskan to make a decision based in appreciation for clean air and abundant landscapes, healthy people, and self-reliant communities. Please decommission the Healey 1 and help our region forge a future we can believe in. Thank you.
Mary Burtness, member from District 1. Thank you for this opportunity to comment at the annual meeting. My main comment, retire the coal-burning Healey 1 power plant. I have many reasons. First, it may cost less for power now, but that will be short-lived. The winds of moving away from fossil fuels are here. It will soon be a product of the past. Rates for fossil fuels are only going to go up. Coal is a dirty fuel and jeopardizes our health and the health of the earth. It also will prevent GVEA from achieving their stated 26% by 2030 carbon reduction goal. I want GVEA to move towards renewables to help keep up with the times and ensure our rates remain reasonable now and in the future, and especially for the health of future Alaskan generations. As a member, I want my power to come from renewables. This is especially feasible now with new federal funding to relieve debt associated with fossil fuel generation and investing in renewables with little cost to me, a member of our co-op. As a household, we are going to be part of Solarize Fairbanks, which is excellent prong for achieving a goal of moving towards renewables. I know there are more and are being worked on by the Member Advisory Committee of GVEA. And finally, moving towards a cleaner burning natural gas is not the solution. It is still a fossil fuel and comes with the same baggage as all fossil fuels, increasing costs, eventual shortage, and a detriment to the environment. I know you have some difficult decisions to make, but don't concentrate on quick solutions to keep costs down now. Look to the future and move to cleaner, cheaper costs for the future. Thank you for this opportunity to share my comment as a member of GVEA for 37 years.
Betty Pixley of District 1. I would like a loan for solar fixtures. I am low income and therefore not eligible for an IRS tax rebate, but I would like to get started with 1 or 2 solar panels, inverter, and other essentials.
Martha Reynolds, District 1. Dear GVEA, my name is Martha Reynolds and I live in District 1. I appreciate the opportunity to comment and encourage GVEA to reduce our carbon footprint by shutting down the Healey 1 coal plant and filling the gap in production with renewable energy. I believe that over the long term, this will reduce our energy costs and will certainly reduce our contribution to greenhouse gas emissions.
Joshua Nicely, District 5. First, I'd like to say thank you all for keeping our power on despite Alaska's best efforts, for making sure member owners like me have a voice in our cooperative,
and for pushing for reducing carbon emissions by 26% by 2030. I am pleased that GVEA engages in these behaviors. We need to do more. Second, I ask that Healey 1 be decommissioned and that we instead invest in renewable energy. It doesn't make sense long-term to invest more in Healey 1 or other fossil fuel burning power plants. We already see that the cost of renewable energy is more than competitive against fossil fuels, and renewables are only getting cheaper. They are also among the most reliable sources of power and are largely unaffected by major conflicts. For example, the war in Ukraine causing gas and coal prices to spike, which are only going to become more prevalent as climate change worsens. For example, water scarcity is expected only to get worse and result in more international tension. Investing in renewables is a better option than doubling down on Healey 1. Additionally, investing in Healey 1 will make it effectively impossible for GVEA to reach its stated goal of reducing carbon emissions by 26% by 2030. Third, I ask that GVEA invest in environmentally friendly energy storage, most notably green hydrogen. Renewables have issues with meeting specific demand loads and with providing energy during the winter. Energy storage is necessary to address these shortfalls. Green hydrogen is one specific method by which to store and even export energy produced by renewables. Countries like Japan are already looking for sources from whom to import hydrogen. Their currently preferred method of transport for hydrogen is as ammonia. If we invest in green hydrogen now, we set ourselves up not only to ditch fossil fuels entirely and save money and our health, but also to export energy at a profit. Green hydrogen could even replace heating fuel for homes. Please decommission Healey 1 and invest more in renewables.
Helen Howard, District 3. As a 50-year-plus member of GVEA, I would like to recommend that the Board of Directors decommission the Healey 1 coal plant. The lost energy should then be replaced by renewable resources. I am very concerned about the warming climate that is causing extreme weather events, wildlife extinction, and the acidification of the oceans. It is imperative that we do all we can to use non-polluting energy since our entire civilization is currently built on using fossil and burning oil and coal. We will never be weaned from energy consumption to drive a civilization that takes more from nature than it gives. Technical solutions abound to augment the power needed for non-fossil fuel energy generation, such as using a large solar array, rooftop solar, and especially buying electricity from the wind farm in Delta. How about using gravity feed like the Davidson Ditch? That brings me to pumped hydro. There are systems of pumped hydro around the world, including in Portland, where there are 2 lakes using solar energy to pump water from the lower to the higher one, and the flow of water from the high to the low to turn turbines in return. Coal plant.
Ryan Moore, District 5. The 5-year time limit on reimbursement for installing power lines can cause a counterproductive dynamic in areas without power. Right now, if one person pays for power, the other potential customers have an incentive to wait the 5 years before requesting a connection, increasing initial costs and reducing cooperation. Is there a way to increase the timeline or make at least some portion of cost sharing permanent? For example, I have a farm I am trying to build on that would cost nearly $100,000 to connect to, and neighbors who want power but are willing to wait so that I cover all of their costs. This does not seem fair, but also makes it much more difficult for me to get connected to the power grid.
Carl Hickman, District 4. Hi, my name is Carl Hickman, member owner of District 4, speaking on behalf of Cindy Hickman. Being 20, living my entire life in Alaska, it is becoming increasingly more apparent that the environment I am being exposed to does not resemble that of the generations before me. I want to be confident that my standard of living will be dependent on my own effort and my determination. I want to know that the ecological environment I am to grow up in will resemble that of my parents. I want to trust that my predecessors had the ability to plan enough forward not to burn 477 million tons of coal, leaving the land, infrastructure, and economy in disarray. With a projected 2.7 degree of warming that is only growing exponentially, it's becoming more and more discouraging to find that these are hopes that are not grounded. To earn the trust and support from people like me, cut investment in the Healey 1 coal plant. The state of our future depends heavily on the decisions made today.
Robert Shields, District 1. Thank you for the work you're doing. We are honored to be good neighbors with such forward-thinking individuals. Realizing innovation is the solution to all our problems, we applaud the Community Solar Task Force and the years of dedication by Richard Thielman for late hours over a calculator. Cutting the energy pie in half simplifies the challenge and makes progress possible. Someone needs to send him and his wife on vacation. For the last decade, the annual solar tours, October 1st this year, website nationalsolartour.org, have served to benchmark our progress. With groups like solarunitedneighbors.org, collectivesun.com, and solaronearth.com, so many options exist for use to cut out this piece of the pie and run the town on the sun 6 months a year. The financing exists. We could even sell power to cloudy Anchorage and all points in between. Luck is when opportunity meets preparations, and we are lucky to be living in Fairbanks, Alaska today. Thanks for keeping the lights on.
Savannah Fletcher, District 2. I'm writing in my personal capacity to ask that the board vote to close Healey 1 and continue to take meaningful steps toward carbon emission reduction. I support replacing Healey 1's energy production with more renewable energy from IPPs, independent power producers, in the interior. We've seen compelling applications recently and will continue to come, and more will continue to come as we show GVEA's openness to take on these less carbon-intensive options. Additionally, we should focus on collaboration along the rail belt for large-scale generation to replace Healey 1's closing. While this will require upgraded transmission lines, it's that kind of infrastructure improvement we should be investing in, not keeping a defunct, dirty coal plant open. Thank you.
Kathy Walling, District 2. Dear GVEA Board and fellow member owners, thank you for this opportunity to offer comments this evening. A few days ago, I learned that the 2021 member survey was shared at the recent GVEA board meeting and available for all member owners to read in the April 26th member book. Thank you. It's my understanding that these GVEA member surveys go out to hundreds of member owners from all the 7 districts in GVEA. What most interested me in reviewing the survey was seeing the top 2 customer segmentation statements from a list on page 11. The top one, renewable energy sources like wind and solar are important for utilities to enhance their power supply. And the second statement, climate change is a very serious problem and everyone must do their part to combat it. These 2 statements were correlated with the highest percentage of the GVEA consumers listed as environmental champions, defined as climate change is a serious problem and everyone must do their part to combat it. We need to do all we can to help the planet now for the benefit of future generations. The next slide surprised me even more in regards to renewable energy, asking would member owners be willing to pay more for renewable energy, and 32% said they would be willing to pay $20 more per month for renewable energy. Wow. I also acknowledge that 34% stated they weren't willing to pay more. However, over 55% said they would be willing to pay between $3 and $20 more per month for renewable energy. Learning all of this from your survey got me wondering how you might be able to bring more equity into the transition to more renewable energy into GVEA's portfolio. This survey indicates that a majority of member owners are willing to pay more per month for renewable energy. This could be a great opportunity to shift from equality to equity in bill payment, recognizing that different member owners have different economic circumstances. This can honor those who may not have the economic means to pay for renewable energy with those who express willingness to pay more to help in making this renewable transition on our energy grid. Such an action seems like a great way to uplift one of GVEA's 7 cooperative values, concern for community. The survey information should also support a decision to not pour many more millions into extending the life of Healey 1. Pour those millions into more renewable energy projects, battery storage, and consider ways that you can ask member owners who are able to pay more for renewable energy to do so if needed. The fact that renewable energy costs are dropping in price so much may well preclude a need to even ask member owners to pay more. Finally, I hope tariffed on-bill financing comes on board soon for member owners. It should be another way to bring forward more equity opportunities for all member owners to be able to move forward with energy conservation and renewable energy projects with their homes and businesses. Thank you.
Dr. Silke Shire, District 1. Dear GVEA board members, it is time to move forward towards renewable energies. Alaska is experiencing more severe effects of climate change than most other places on the planet, so we have to make sure to do our part in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, i.e., cutting down the use of coal and petroleum fuels. Refurbishing the Healey power plant would only make sense if we want to keep using it in the long run. We would be married to coal-based energy. Even if it is more expensive in the short term to invest in additional renewable energy production facilities, this is an investment that will pay off in the long run.
Claudie Thompson, District 2. I would like to urge the GVEA board to vote for shutting down the Healey 1 coal plant. There is a very high urgency to reduce carbon emissions fast in order to avoid the worst climate crises. Extending the life of a big carbon emitter at this time is extremely counterproductive. We as a community need to move toward renewable energy sources as fast as we can. Thank you.
Stuart Chapin, District 1. I would like to thank GVEA for being incredibly helpful in supporting resident efforts to solarize their homes. However, even though I have installed solar panels on my home, I depend on GVEA for electricity for most of the year, and this comes mainly from burning coal. I strongly urge GVEA to increase its production of electricity from renewable sources, solar, wind, and pumped hydro, so that all GVEA members can reduce their impact on climate and our local environment. Please begin this process now by decommissioning the Healey 1 coal-fired power plant and replacing it with renewable energy sources. This makes sense environmentally because it reduces our impact on climate and local air pollution. It makes sense economically because it replaces volatile, expensive fossil fuels with cheap, dependable renewables. Besides, it is the right thing to do. GVEA has committed to achieving 26% of its electricity from renewables by 2030, only 8 years from now. Let's move on with this meeting with this promise. Thank you for your consideration.
Jim Schwarber, District 4. To my fellow GVEA member owners, board members, and staff, I commend my cooperative for striving to serve the best interests of our community and working hard to provide us with reliable and cost-effective electric service. However, times and the climate have changed. Fossil fuels are no longer serving our needs, nor are they inexpensive. Our monthly electric bills continue rising due to GVEA's greater than 90% dependence on fossil fuel sources of generation. GVEA is behind the times for not embracing and substantially adopting the proven and more affordable renewable technologies such as wind and solar. I urge GVEA to reduce their generation of electricity from all fossil fuel sources by at least 50% by 2030. The recent GVEA member survey found that 56% of members support paying more for renewable energy on their monthly bills, though this may not be necessary with renewables being much less expensive today. While in the past GVEA has engaged in innovative projects for renewable sources of energy, such as the wind farm at Eva Creek and the modest solar farm in Fairbanks, recent efforts have not moved the utility on the path to measurable decarbonization. It's time to revisit GVEA's outdated 2019 carbon reduction goal to reflect what we now know needs to be done. The complete phasing out of the use of coal and other fossil fuel sources for electricity by 2045. The present goal of a 26% reduction in carbon, while not easy to reach, is too timid. Please raise the initial goal to 50% by 2030 and add a new final goal of complete decarbonization of GVEA's electricity sources by 2045 or sooner. The world is on a similar path to sustainability. Everything in our community is being affected by the present climate emergency, and everyone, including GVEA, has a responsibility to address its causes by reducing their carbon footprint to net zero. There are federal dollars available that support improving transmission facilities, investing in major storage, and capitalizing large new renewable energy resources. Taking Healey 1 offline and ending the purchase of coal-generated electricity from the Aurora and the University of Fairbanks power plants are critical steps in the transition to clean and sustainable energy. Natural gas is a carbon fossil fuel. It should not be adopted as an alternative to coal. When methane emissions associated with gas productions are taken into account, natural gas is just as bad for the climate. Clean gas is just as dirty as clean coal. Please invest in truly clean renewable energy paired with storage. I support GVEA adopting a robust tariffed on-bill financing program that will benefit all our members, especially those with low to moderate incomes, by financing energy efficiency measures and enabling participation in beneficial electrification. This will allow more people to participate in programs such as Solarize Fairbanks and help us to transition away from using fossil fuels. Similarly, community solar must include benefits for our low to moderate income members. Decarbonize. The health of our community and well-being of our world depend on it. Thank you.
Molly Payne, District 1. My name is Molly Payne, and I'm a GVEA customer living in District 1 in Fairbanks. My comment is for the 22 meeting is below. I am writing in support of the proposal to convert GVEA's energy production to renewable sources as much as possible. This will save GVEA a lot of money in the long run, particularly with the rising financial and environmental costs of fossil fuels that GVEA currently utilizes. GVEA has stated 26% by 2030 carbon reduction goal, and reducing reliance on fossil fuels for energy generation is a very necessary first step to achieving this. On a smaller note, this is also a bit of a health issue. Renewable energy releases far less nastiness, particularly methane, into the air that we breathe. Please convert to renewable energy as much as possible.
Holly Roger Evans, District 1. After researching and nearly installing a solar array last year, then speaking with a solar contractor from Vermont, I have the following to say. Net metering is a fair system, but a monthly settlement in our latitude is not. In Vermont, customers are allowed to bank excess power to use in winter when a deficit is likely. In this way, a customer can design or contract a solar system that will produce the total annual amount of power used by a home and not have to lose money by selling much of it back to GVEA at a huge discount and replace it later at full rate. I would suggest that an annual net metering settlement for clean energy producers such as solar or wind would be more fair and in fact would do more to promote the installation of such by shortening the payback period. It is a simple suggestion which should easily be implemented in our community. We are still planning to add solar to our home and have our net permit already.
Jonathan Kaltenbau, District 5. As a member owner from District 5 and a resident of Alaska, it is imperative to me that GVEA focus on divesting from the short-sighted and environmentally detrimental reliance on fossil fuels that we currently have and dedicate ourselves to cultivating diverse, reliable sources of renewable energy. Just in these last few weeks, it has become readily apparent that events on all the far reaches of the globe can have a significant impact on the members of GVEA, especially the ability to support their families and put their money back into the economy to buy Alaskan. Along with the economic impact, The negative impact on the health of all of those around the current fossil fuel energy producers, such as Healey 1 power plant, is now well known and has been for years. If we value not only the health of the member owners and their families, but also of our neighbors who live here, we should seek out ways to reduce the reliance on these coal power plants. Finally, climate change caused by fossil fuel consumption has and will continue to have drastic effects on our Alaskan way of life and standards of living. From reduction of the Arctic sea ice to melting permafrost and historic temperature variations, the current track of fossil fuel consumption is disrupting people's ability to live and work in Alaska as they have for many years. Converting to renewable energy sources and away from coal power plants will help us to reach important carbon reduction benchmarks and should be the utmost priority in GVEA's future planning.
My name is Kensley Deffler, and I'm a member in District 4. Thank you for the opportunity to comment and have a voice in our cooperative. When I first learned that GVEA operated in a cooperative model, I was inspired by the potential for democratic engagement and community input in decisions that so directly affect us. Tonight, I'd like to encourage GVEA to refocus on their own 7 cooperative principles, especially in light of some big upcoming decisions. The second principle is that of democratic member control, allowing members to actively participate in setting policies and making decisions. GVEA recently conducted a survey of member owners, and the numbers speak for themselves. 56% of respondents are willing to pay more money for renewable energy. The survey results show that our community is concerned about climate change and wants to see change in our energy generation. The majority is so concerned that despite economic struggle, we're willing to back that up by paying more to get energy from renewables. While this is enlightening, it's also somewhat of a moot point when considering the rapid decline in prices of renewable generation over the past decade. Member owners shouldn't have to choose and can now pay less for renewables, a win-win situation for all. A significant and immediate step in the right direction is to decommission Healey 1 and replace that generation with renewables. I understand this is a big decision, but it gives GVEA an opportunity to step up in a big way and tangibly show their responsibility and leadership in the fight against climate crisis. We cannot continue to burn coal. Numerous studies, too many to list, have shown the detrimental effects that burning coal has on our health and our earth. We need to transition rapidly away from coal, oil, and gas and toward renewables. We need GVEA to do their part in this transition. Our community cares about combating climate change, and we're asking you to be a leader in helping us reduce carbon emissions. While I'm appreciative that GVEA has adopted a carbon reduction goal, the goal of 26% carbon reductions by 2030 is not enough. We need more. And we need a roadmap filled with tangible plans of how to achieve that. Keeping Healey 1 open will make it nearly impossible to meet that meager 26% goal. There are solutions available, including beneficial electrification, community solar, and tariffed on-bill financing. GVEA has expressed intent to move forward with tariffed on-bill financing and community solar, and I urge you to do so quickly and to keep focus on equity and energy justice at the forefront of all conversations and decisions. These are the solutions our community needs. I'm imploring GVEA to take responsibility and do their part in ensuring Fairbanks is a clean, healthy, and vibrant community for years to come by taking immediate action to transition to renewable energy and significantly reduce carbon emissions. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who provided comments. We'll send this back to Tom.
All right, folks, it looks like we're at the end of member comment period. We said we would run for 30 minutes, and we've gone over that. We have a few comments that have not been read. Rest assured that those comments, written comments that were received, will be written into the record, and they will be part of the 2022 annual meeting minutes. Thank you for all your comments. Tonight, 8 randomly selected but incredibly lucky members will receive credits on their electric bills. We are awarding 4 $250 credits and 4 $500 credits for a total of $3,000. The winners of the 4 $250 credits are Carrie Wright, District 4. Jill Lessig, District 1. Anthony Aragon, District 1. And Rachel Tomsha, District 4. And the winners of the 4 $500 credits are Brandon Wilkes, District 1. Amber Simpson, District 5. Elizabeth Lawyer, District 2. And Rebecca Spores, District 4. Congratulations to our winners. Before we sign off, we want your feedback. Please follow the web link on your screen. All members who complete the survey will be entered into a drawing for 5,000 Alaska Airlines miles. Thank you for watching our annual meeting and for participating. Good night, everyone.